Hello, Ganesh sir. Thank you for joining me.
Hi Divya, good to see you again.
Same here. So, inner child healing is a very commonly heard term nowadays. There is so much information about it on social media. There is so much curiosity around it, which is why I thought I must take your help in simplifying the concept for us and helping us understand it better. Which is why I have a few questions for you.
I will do my best.
I'm sure it will be really helpful for all of us. So, my first question is, how do you recognize if you have a wounded inner child? In common terms, what are the symptoms?
Yeah, I think the easiest way to know is when you overreact to situations, when you get overly sad or overly angry or, overly frustrated at things which when you look back after a week, it's say, why was I getting so worked up about this? Okay? And so a lot of the time that sadness or that anger or that agitation is not that of a 40-year-old. It is that of a 5-year-old child whose needs were not met. So that's when you know that, there's something that has happened. And it is almost impossible on this planet that we will have someone who's had almost a perfect childhood, or that you had no traumas that were caused. We may not be conscious of it, but this feeling of being unsafe, often it comes from something that happened in the childhood, where something was said to a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old. So I realized when I began doing this work with my teachers in 2013 that it's almost impossible to find a human being who does not have inner child wounds, and that we were all mostly adults, in an adult body, but we were wounded little children.
Thank you, sir. That really helps. In fact, my next question is, what is the meaning of reparenting your inner child? I mean, could you suggest a few ways in which one can connect with their inner child and, reparent it?
So what we need to acknowledge firstly is, what is inner child wounding? Essentially, there are some needs of a child which are not laptop, iPad, chocolate, TV, whatever else, right? The needs of the child from the time that the child is conceived, is in the mother's womb, till the time that the child grows up to be, is a 21-year-old or an adult. There are needs at different stages. The infant, 0 to 1 years of age, 1 to 3-year toddler has certain needs. The preschool child has certain needs. Common among these needs are the need for unconditional love, the need for validation of thoughts and emotions, the feelings and the emotions, the need to feel safe, the need for loving touch and presence, the need for the mother to hold the child. These are very, very important. The need to witness love, to witness. The child actually just learns through witnessing. So what the child witnesses really shapes the child. So when these needs are not met, these are fundamental needs of a child: love, care, safety. When these needs are not met, this child gets wounded. And when we talk about reparenting the child now as a 40-year-old, we are still living with that wounded 5-year-old within us. The key is to go back and access some of that, past. When we do inner child work, we kind of regress back to whatever extent we can. And we now, as the adult self, we go back and reassure this child that you are safe, and we provide. So this is reparenting the child. The whole exercise or reparenting our inner child is an exercise in just becoming present to the wounding that has happened, becoming present to the fears that we may be carrying from those childhood days, and then allowing for us as adults. Now there is no, somebody told me when I was 4 years old or 5 years old that the ghost will take you, or the policeman will take you, or I will lock you up in the room. Now I am carrying that fear. I don't know, not consciously. In my conscious brain, I'm not carrying that fear. It's in my unconscious. Whatever was said to a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old is not going to, it doesn't go through the thinking brain. It goes directly into the unconscious part of the brain, right? I mean, you just soak it in like a sponge. So we're carrying it in our unconscious. Now, it doesn't matter how much insurance policy we buy, we don't feel safe. And that is the key here. Reparenting is becoming conscious of the unconscious. And then making sure, we use a teddy bear or a soft toy to represent the inner child. And we say that, you actually hold that. That is the little you that you're holding. And you are acknowledging that you are safe now, that I am here for you. That, and so when you do that, something very profound happens within us. It shifts. Again, this is a subject of 2 days or 6 days over a workshop, but I'm just giving you a flavor of that.
This is amazing because, my next question is regarding, so like you said, everyone goes through trauma or some kind of wounding or pain. There's not one human being who hasn't gone through it. And which brings me to a thought. Toxic parenting is being spoken about a lot nowadays, and how does one forgive abusive parents, whether they've been, physically or emotionally abusive? How does a child forgive an abusive parent?
Firstly, reproduction is a biological process, and there is no university for parenting. Who has gone to university to learn about parenting? Nobody. We are all victims of victims. This is happening. Children are born, children are brought up. Most parents do the best that they understand based on their own experiences. So that is the reality. Most parents do their very best for their children. And, we are too small to forgive our parents. We are too small. I think if we can actually become conscious of the fact that the greatest gift we ever received was from our parents, that is the gift of life, and that our parents did the best for us based on what they knew about parenting. Whatever they experienced as children, they parented us out of their wounds. And they were unconscious of that. So I think it's really important. Inner child work is not about blaming the parents. Inner child work is about taking self-responsibility. It is about taking ownership of your own healing. And so that is really what we do. Yes, there is some pain, there is trauma that is caused, that came through the actions or, the commission, or not all of those acts were by, commission, they were also omission. They didn't know that the child needs a loving touch of the parent, that, or even teachers in school. So many teachers have acted unconsciously. They didn't know that their words will have such a big impact on a child. So when we realize that all of these actions were coming out of, people who were not conscious of what they were doing, we can see the bigger picture and we can move on. more importantly, like I said, we need to take complete ownership of this healing process.
Thank you for sharing, sir. You spoke a little about teachers, and I thought to myself, what would change if parents and teachers did this inner work? In fact, I would like to club it with my next question, because you've been a teacher. So what changed for you? How was it before and after you did inner child work? This could help a lot of people.
Well, let me answer the first question. This world would be a completely different world. You would have far less violence, far less conflict, far less, competition. Essentially, we are breeding violence when children are not, are being wounded. The adult that perpetuates the violence is a wounded child. You look at so many of those who have perpetuated violence as adults, they had you look at Hitler, you look at his childhood, you will know that the inner child work could change when you don't have wounded children in adult bodies. You're going to have a completely different world. The only way out, as Dr. Joe Dispenza says, is in. The only way out is in. So we need to take responsibility, and teachers have a huge role to play. They have to heal themselves. There are so many traumas that we carry around school and around what happened in class, being bullied, being compared, being admonished, being beaten in some cases. Oh my goodness. Now, for the rest of our lives, this child just grows up to prove that he's not a bad, or she's not a bad boy or a bad girl. This child just grows up trying to feel safe. This child is like a bottomless pit trying to find love wherever. One relationship after the other, he's trying to find that love. He cannot. Because really, when we are a wounded inner child, we are like a bottomless pit. You put a car in it, you put a partner in it, you put a house in it, you put a lot of money in it, you put a lot of name in it, you put a lot of fame in it. It all disappears. It's like a black hole. Nothing makes you feel at peace, at ease. We get addicted to our work. We want to do more, but we don't feel peace. So inner child healing is like putting a bottom, putting like a base on this. That you are no longer a black hole or a bottomless pit, where it doesn't matter how many things on the outside change, in the inside you still feel that void, that hollowness, that emptiness. So that is what will change. We will have peace in the world if everybody does inner child work.
Wow. Thank you so much. And like I was asking, the second part of my question was, you've been a teacher. So what can you share a little about your journey, how maybe you were earlier and how you were after?
I wasn't measured in the way that I communicated up until I learned about inner child work. I think after I learned about it, and after I practiced meditation and mindfulness and, did inner child work with Dr. Newton and Dr. Lakshmi, I actually was much more measured. I knew the impact of my words. I discovered that words are like swords, especially with young people. They have a profound impact. So and I realized that I have to focus not on, I have to make sure that I focus on how I'm feeling in the class, not merely what I'm teaching or what I'm doing. If the days that I feel well, that when I have dealt with my own inner child wounds and I go into the class as a healed teacher, then I can also, help heal and teach and allow learning to happen. Teachers, we have a very dear friend in Bangalore who says teachers are actually healers. And we really are, we have to play the role of healers. We have to heal these children through our words and our actions. And so it was huge. I mean, there is a big change in the way that I looked at things. A lot of my professional success came through this as well, because I was much more at peace with myself, and I really owe a lot of this to inner child work, the success that I had, and of course to my teachers, Dr. Newton and Dr. Lakshmi.
Thank you, sir. This was really helpful because I've also been a student and I've had some teachers who were so nice to me and some teachers who were so, they were dealing with their own problems. So this is amazing. This is going to help so many people because I'm sure, like you said, how you feel in a classroom is going to impact a student as well. Their behavior could also change.
Absolutely. And all teachers, all parents have to do inner child work. It is very important. And so I'm glad that you brought this up. Thank you, Divya.
Thank you, sir. This was really insightful. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, sir.